Good evening. I'm seeing two new faces. Can you hear me? Okay? Yeah, okay. Welcome for those who are here for the first time. And what greetings, good wishes for the holiday season. Many are traveling and many are busy. Busy? Busy in what? Busy with what? Collecting gifts, finding gifts. Before we start tonight, we have a guest who is making some pictures for the session tonight. The aim is that there will not be anyone in the picture. What is the word? Identifiable. But it is just to get an idea of the feeling and the space. Yeah. So she will try to be incognito if that is possible, but you will hear some sound of a photo camera. But if you really don't want anything to be in the picture, please raise your hand at this moment. She's sitting behind you. Yeah. Okay, good. Tonight's session is on declutter the inner space, and it is a bit of a challenge, especially in this time when we might be receiving a lot of things and might be busy with so many things. So we will make it a little bit in a workshop format, but first we will explain a little bit the concepts. Now, one is there is outer space. One is there is your external circumstances. And one is your inner space. And you know what your inner space is? Your mind. It is not your stomach or your intestines or your lungs or not even the physical heart. No? But your inner space is your mind. And what happens in your mind? Chatter. There is chatter going on in your mind. Now, in the outer space, if there is a lot of clutter, what does that mean? But in the outer space, what does it mean if there is clutter? Chaos? But how does it manifest, clutter? Let us start with your room or your apartment or your kitchen or your desk or table. If there is clutter, how does it manifest? Yeah, how what is there that you say this is clutter? It is not organized properly. What else? Too many objects. Unnecessary things are there and it is unorganized. So unorganized, too many things and unnecessary. That is when we call it there is clutter. In your room, that might mean, what does it mean? Too many clothes. Too many clothes. Unorganized means too many unwashed clothes, unironed clothes. You can't find what you need. It's not organized in the cupboards. And it is an unnecessary means Yeah, extra thing which are not required and which you don't use. Or you put it on and you take it off again. This is one example of clutter in the outer space. Now we can apply that to everything. Your cupboards, your bathroom, your room, your living room, your working space, your desk, even maybe the apartment building that you live in and the neighborhood you live in, the city that you live in. If there is clutter, we all contribute somehow, somewhat to that. If it is uncluttered or cluttered. Even New York City, when you use something, do you just throw it or do you wait to throw it in a bin? If something is here disturbing, do you just... No, there are many who just do like that. Or some chewing gum, you just whatever. It means you are putting, that is not even extra things, that is garbage all over the place. That is outer space. In terms of the body, your body is also part of outer space. How do you treat your body? Is the body cluttered? Is the body calm? Do you hang too many things on the body? Or do you put too many things on the body also? Sometimes someone is very physically beautiful, but they put so many things that it becomes too much. Too much, no? Cluttered appearance, no? So these are examples of external clutter. Now, how does external clutter make you feel? Heavy, stressed, scattered, makes you anxious, confused, fearful. Very good. What else? Negative. Anything else? Tired. Yeah, tired. But deeper inside also, it sometimes makes you feel inadequate. Or what is the word? Not capable. And that in the long term may lead to low self-esteem. It creates feelings of being useless. It can create feelings of guilt that I don't do what I'm supposed to be doing. It makes you feel, it can make you feel guilty. That is externally. Now, what is internal clutter? Same thing, thoughts. Thoughts that are unorganized, thoughts that are unnecessary, thoughts that are too many. What else? Someone said also already negative thoughts, destructive thoughts. All of that is clutter inside. And what else? What does thoughts lead to? Feelings. So same. Useless feelings. Feelings that are out of control. Feelings that overwhelm you. Feelings that are negative. Feelings that are destructive. That is inner clutter. Now, how do you get rid of external clutter? You pay a friend. You pay a friend. Is that really a solution? Because you pay a friend to clean it up, and then what happens? Gradually clutter comes back, isn't it? What is a better method? You clean it up and organize? Not to shop too much. No, very good. What it means is you take a decision to create different habits. So shopping less, but that should not just be words. You put those words in actions. You go shopping with a list, and before you decide what you will get, and you stick to that. And you shop only once in whatever. Groceries once in a week, and things only once in a month, maybe, or even less. So you kind of create a routine or a certain discipline, and you stick to that. That is also how you kind of reorganize things externally. But to do that, what do you need? You need self-control, you need reasoning power. You need a certain clarity and reasoning power. So that is what happens in your inner world. To even organize your outer world, you have to have a certain clarity, a certain power to decide, a certain power to discern, a certain power to oversee. Now that can only happen if there's no inner clutter. So what do you do to get rid of this inner clutter? Tell yourself more positive things, more no, we have said one of the things that is clutter inside is there is a mind. That is like your inner space. And in this mind, there are thoughts. Is that right? Yeah. There are feelings. There are a few more things, but we can start with this. No, a part of decluttering also is not be overly ambitious. You start with one or two things first, and when you manage that, then you go on to the next, and you go on to the next. So use inner space, thoughts and feelings. But before you can declutter, what has to happen? Yeah, very good. Yeah, you make a decision that you want to do that. First of all, we have to acknowledge that there is clutter. Because sometimes it happens, many times maybe it happens, that we think we are okay, but others are the problem. We are okay, but they have to change. And maybe that is true, that they have to change, but that is not in your hands. You cannot declutter someone else's apartment. If you do that, what will happen? They will call the police for you. If you start throwing out their furniture. So you cannot declutter someone else's space. But what you can do is clean up here. So first of all, acknowledge. And then you have to kind of set out to do it, determine to do it. So the first thing is you have to, when you declutter, the first thing you do is, once you have decided, you have acknowledged this room is too messy, this space is too messy, there are too many things, it's too organized and a useless thing. So what you do? Okay, sort out the things. But to sort out the things, you need a what is it? I can't find the word. A yardstick, you say like that? Yeah, you have to have a guideline of to discern what is useless and what is not useless. Say, for example, if you have a closet full of clothes, how will you decide what is clutter and what is not? How long should I not have used it? Make it very detailed. If I haven't worn something for 1 year, it is very, very, very possible that I will not use it, and I definitely don't need it. So you have defined what is useful and what is useless. Understand? So in the same way, your inner space also, we need to define what is useful and what is useless. How we will define if a thought is useful or useless. How will I define whether feelings are useful or useless? Understand? Otherwise, you might throw out some things that you that you might need in 2 days, or you think. So in the same way, your inner space, how do you define which thoughts are useful and which are not? So how do you define a negative thought? Bad feelings, ill feelings. So a mother says to the child, you have to go to school, and child says, no, I don't want to go to school, I don't want to go to school. Is that a bad thought or a good thought? The child will say, going to school is a bad thought, I don't want to go. The bad thought is, I don't want to go to school. No, this is very good. These are simple things, but this is useful to know. A bad thought or a useless thought or a negative thought is defined by the long-term result, not necessarily how I feel at this moment in time. You understand? For example, the thought might come, oh, I want chocolate. Is that a bad thought? A negative thought? It's a good we will say, oh, it will make me so, but your blood sugar will go like this. If you have that thought all the time, then become like this. You understand? So we cannot just only depend on how it will make me feel at this moment, instantly. We have to see also what will be the result on a longer period of time. So you have to take into consideration that are these thoughts that are there useful not just now but also in the long run. That is what will decide whether it should stay in that space or I should have that thought again or not. Understand? For feelings is the same, because there are many things that may give us instant satisfaction or instant pleasure, but tomorrow it gives us a headache. Have you had those this morning? Yeah. Yeah. In the long run, you might feel not so proud of yourself even, no? Or the relationship may be damaged in such a way that you can't repair it anymore. Huh? So, for decluttering, you need a certain level of wisdom. Agreed? Whatever level of wisdom depends on what it is that you need to declutter. You need a certain level of wisdom. And better to have a regular input of wisdom. So grow in your wisdom and remind yourself of wisdom that is there. Don't depend on that you necessarily know everything already, because the very fact that it is cluttered means I need some more wisdom. Understand? Otherwise I would not have let it get clogged in here. So one tool for decluttering is to acquire wisdom, some spiritual wisdom, and on some regular basis. You can read, you can come to these lectures, do some courses, but have a regular input of wisdom. Someone else was saying meditation. So what does meditation do? At least in the practice of meditation, what you learn is what are spiritual thoughts. You also learn that with wisdom, but in meditation you as if explore those spiritual thoughts and allow the feelings connected with those thoughts to emerge. Now, for example, you were upstairs and there were a guided meditation on the inner being, the soul, the being that is of light, the innate qualities of the soul. So those are spiritual thoughts, and in meditation you slow down your thoughts and you allow the feelings of those thoughts to emerge. So those are tools that help you get more of a grip on this mind. But if only in meditation you are calm, and the moment you walk out on Fifth Avenue, every day, the whole idea is that you can carry it. No? Even when there is a subway and a peak and whatever, that you can kind of hold this clean, decluttered space. Yeah? Okay. So we're going to declutter our inner space. Yeah? We're now going to do it each one for ourselves. Identify the clutter in thoughts and feelings. Identify it for yourself. And then you give the, what is the word? How to tackle that clutter. Is that is that proper English? How will you tackle that clutter? Follow? No, we're going to do it writing. Mm-hmm. Follow? I don't understand what you... Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I can give some examples of how to tackle clutter. If there is a certain repetitive thought about your boss, for example, this thought comes again and again and again and again. You identify it. Now, the one way to make a plan for that is you tell yourself what the use is of that thought. How does it help me to have that thought? Will it change the boss? You ask yourself, no, at that moment. and find some kind of compassionate way to think about the boss. This might be part of your plan. You ask yourself, what good does it do me? And what compassionate thoughts or feelings could I have for the boss, instead of having these condemning thoughts. Understand? Because compassionate thoughts are healing. They're not clutter. And the feelings that come from compassion thoughts are different than condemning thoughts. Yeah? So that is one kind of strategy to deal with some clutter. Okay, so now everyone, who needs pen and paper? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, yeah. Okay, I'll get for everyone. So the exercise will be you take 1 minute of silence. 1 minute of silence. And in that silence, you relax your body. You bring your attention in this moment. And then observe and observe what happened in the mind today. Yeah. Just the day. But try to do that in a neutral, with neutral feelings. Not condemning, not judging, not whatever, just observing. And then you identify, as if you're watching someone else's mind or something else. So you're not going to say, oh, I am bad or whatever, just observing. And then, what is the clutter? And you write it down. Just observing. The inner being observing what is going on in this inner world. What is this clutter? No? But don't write more than 10 things. 10 is enough. No? Maximum, not more. And then you take the first 3 and you make a plan for it. Yeah? But a plan can also be, I will not think this anymore. But justify it for yourself. As if burn it. Finish it. Absolutely useless. You know, like some things you just throw out, finish. You don't look back anymore. Yeah. But just first identify. And you have about 10 minutes or so. Should that be okay? 10? After 10 minutes I'll come back. Yeah? Any questions or comments? This is easy, no? Yeah. Or 3 of them, whichever you feel. But don't go further than 10. That's enough. Yeah? Like I said, the thought of the same thought of boss. That is an example. If you're having unpleasant relationship with your boss, the thought keep coming. It is clutter, isn't it? Is that a good, yeah? Anything repetitive, anything useless? Any other comments? Okay, so 10 minutes. Yeah, but do for yourself. Do this for yourself. 1 minute silence, relax the body, bring, and then do for yourself. How's it going? Is it going? Huh? Yeah. Is it possible to kind of identify clutter? Okay, is it possible to make a strategy? A reasonable strategy? I'm not seeing too many heads saying yes. If, of course. Of course. Even when we declutter physical space, we can make a plan, but you have to execute it, no? How do you get the power to execute it? Courage, yeah. Prayer. Trust in yourself. Also, when you see the benefit, and also when you start seeing that the clutter is actually debilitating you, making you more weak, undermining you. But what is useful to know is that even if you do one little thing, it makes you already stronger. So that is why there is a lot of wisdom in taking little steps, but do those steps surely. You understand? So if you have like 50 sweaters in your cupboard, even if you take out one, it will be already, and it will give you confidence inside. Oh, I took out one and I didn't miss anything. So it will give you confidence to also take another one and another one. No? So don't say, I'm gonna do away with 45 sweaters. But let me start with one or two. But do it, truly do it, because that will give you power to take the next two out. And it will give you the confidence and also a feeling of pride inside. So same way, decluttering your inner space, take little steps. Now, one simple strategy can be every morning before I start my day, I will take 5 minutes of reflection and creating in my mind an aim of what I want to do with my inner space today. Now, for example, I will appreciate boss. There may be things that are not nice, but there surely must be something that is good. So instead of that, I will appreciate. And in the morning, before you start your day, make that kind of pact with yourself. And you say to yourself, just for today. And even if that seems too much, you say, just today, 1 hour. So kind of help yourself. And that 1 hour can then the next day be 2 hours and 3 hours. Understand? So, decluttering. Any other comments or you want to share anything? So one way to do is tomorrow this is first thing on the list. First thing on the list tomorrow. And if it for whatever reason doesn't happen, then it will be the first thing on my list during lunchtime, during my whatever lunch break. Even before lunch. Lunch will be the reward for having made the phone call. You understand? And because then that clutter is gone. Yeah. So kind of be gentle and as if teach yourself how to think and what to think. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. It's something in the future. Mm. Monkey mind. um, there are a few tactics. No, again, this is where it requires wisdom. So regular input of wisdom will help you understand these dynamics more. There are a few tactics in this case. First of all, and this is also reason which you may already understand, but is that future depends on now. Future depends on what I do now. So if now I'm wasting, that will not help my future. That is one thing. Second thing, there is a very nice saying that is kind of a bit Eastern context. If tiger is chasing you, if you meet a tiger and you get scared, that is what the tiger is expecting. So you run away, so the tiger will definitely chase you. But if you turn around and embrace the tiger, embrace the tiger, this is what is going on here? It is not meant literally, but the tiger is like storms, is like challenges, is like difficult situations. And we try to run away from it. We try to ignore it or hide from it or run away from it. But if instead of it you turn around and embrace it, do something new, do something unexpected. So in this case, this is a very nice strategy Well, also with tigers, in terms of people. No, if you do the unexpected, you as if take them by surprise. But in this case, here it is, the future is like the tiger. And you are trying to get away from it, you're trying to avoid it, you're trying to whatever. But instead if you say, if I fail, so what? What is the worst thing that can happen? You as if diffuse the power that that monster holds on you. If you fail, it will not take away all the wisdom that all the knowledge that you have built up studying anyway. It will not take away the joy that you had studying. And there was a time when your life was quite okay without any exam and without any study. So why make that thing such a huge thing? You as if diffuse its power. Now, these are tactics that we need to kind of learn. Because what we do, there is something we feel we need to achieve, and we make it like a big thing, as if the world will end if it doesn't happen, and we start feeling like that. There was a time when I did not even know about any exam, and I was quite okay. And if I feel life will still go on, so like you take away the power that that thing has over your mind. But not one time. You repeatedly use this tactic. No? Third thing is, what is good to think about in general is play with this spiritual understanding that this life is like a game. A very sophisticated game, but we need to understand its dynamics and learn to play the game right. So for the soul, for the inner being, one way to look at life, it is a game. And in any game there are opponents, there are situations, there are winners, there are losers. If you prepare for it, you do better, you get scores. But at the end, the winners and the losers together, they go home and they enjoy. But reflect on this. This is a deeper spiritual wisdom. Ultimately, everyone is, because even if in the game, let's say you go play tennis, someone will win, someone will lose. But behind it, we are friends. And when the game finishes, we both enjoy it and we just go home and have coffee together or whatever. Exactly. Exactly. You have learned in the process. But you have not made that winning that particular game as if my whole value and my existence depends on that. But that is what we do. A cluttered mind makes small things big. And a decluttered mind makes even big things small. And the things that have real value, you hold them in value. Understand? Anyone else? Any other thoughts? Yeah. Yeah, understood. Mm. 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 Yeah, understood. Understood. If if there is a game and there are things in the game that you don't know how to deal with it, what does it mean? If there is a game, no, and you don't know, you can't control, you don't have an answer to things in that game, what does it mean? I don't know the rules. If there is a game and there are certain things that take you by surprise, that you feel overwhelmed about, that you don't understand, that you don't know how to deal with it, it means you do not understand the game properly. You do not have all the facets of the game. No? So when I use the word game, I don't want to make it sound as if it is, I don't want to, degrade it, make it shallow or superficial, but there is this dynamics going on. And if we do not know to deal with it, maybe it's because we do not know the forces that are operating in this game. And that just means I need to have more wisdom and start to understand this game better. That is something you cannot do overnight, but you can put yourself on that path. And so the one thing that I try to do when things like that happen to me is that I'm thankful for that situation. That I'm thanking that situation that it has come to me, because it is showing me that there are some areas that I need to have more wisdom about. And for example, you mentioned this phenomena of death. This is another monster that hovers over many of us, isn't it? So what do you do with monster? Embrace the tiger. No, we said turn around and embrace the tiger. Now, how do you do that in this case? Yeah. No, yeah, you find a way to understand this phenomena. So the fact that it makes us scared, that it makes us insecure, that it makes us sad, that it makes us cry, may mean I need to acquire more insight on this. And I need for myself to get an understanding. What is that? Because it is inevitable. You know how many people have died today in this world? So many. If we have to cry, we will cry endlessly every day, all the time. And so maybe life and this game of life was not meant for us to cry, but meant for us to understand birth and death and life better. And so when a situation like that comes to me and I react like them, I can say, thank you, I need to understand death, birth and life better. So where can I get answers so that I can create a vision, a perspective on that will help me go through life with different feelings. Understand? But what we're now doing, many of us, and we have created a society that does like that, a world culture that does like that, we avoid this phenomena. We don't like to talk about it, we don't want to know about it, but it looms. Yeah. 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 And it is useful to know that there are cultures, when someone dies, they celebrate. They have a party because they feel this is very good. Soul is moving on to something somewhere else. No, it is a culture. It is a belief system. So everyone living in that culture feels like that. So it is useful to explore these things. But for that you need more spiritual wisdom, deeper spiritual wisdom. And that situation is coming to you to tell you, you need to address this. You need to grow in your understanding of this more. So you say, thank you. Yeah. Embrace the tiger. Any other ideas? Now, in a nutshell, the Raj Yoga perspective on this game is there is a physical world and there is a non-physical world. And in the physical world, there are bodily beings, there are objects, there are animals, there is sun, or rain or snow or whatever, there is nature, there are dollars, there's your cell phone, there's technology, there's politics, there's religion, all kinds of science and job and colleagues and bosses, and there are all kinds of toys in this intricate, elegant, horrific, all kinds of thoughts are there. And there is an experiencer who is subtle, invisible, the inner being, the soul. The word soul is used for that being of consciousness. And this being of consciousness has come from the dimension of consciousness, the subtle dimension, the invisible dimension, the home of souls. There are different names for this realm. And this being has come here as a visitor. This being has come here as a player. This being has come here as an experiencer. And this being, at the end of the game, will go back home. Now this being is timeless and so immortal. This has birth and death, but the inner being, the being of consciousness, transcends the limitations of matter. In a nutshell, this is the perspective. And you can play with this. A traveler, an observer, a player, a student. This is a school. Different ways to play with it. Now, if you use this broader perspective, that is one way. Big decluttering can happen if we internalize this perspective. Yeah. Any final thoughts or comments? This is the perfect time of the year to declutter. Externally and internally. Perfect time of the year. But you need to make it a priority. Because the external forces are pulling you with great force into more clutter. So be extra determined. Yeah? If you can write a wish for yourself. Or not a wish, what is it? A resolve, resolution. Decluttering. Decluttering. You will feel light. You feel more clean, more pure, more clear. But it is an ongoing thing. It is not. But once you have decluttered, it is easier to maintain it. But if you don't install those habits, then it will fill up again. Every now and then. And there are like little rules for space, for example. If something new comes in, something old has to go out. So same way also here. But first you just exactly. Yeah. Very good. Procrastination is another clutter. Big tool of clutter. Yeah. Yeah. You know, but when there is clutter and garbage and too much thing, then you get cockroaches and and all kinds of creepy insects and whatever. Same way here. More clutter is here. More cockroaches inside and rats and diseases come in. So to avoid all of that, create that inner light. And a spiritual journey means acquiring spiritual wisdom, meditation, generating a more spiritual lifestyle, working on formation of character. All of these is a journey, but these are tools, further tools. Okay. So let's close with some moments of so as we sit, allowing the body to be comfortable and relax. Let the breathing be regular and deep rather than shallow. And with every breath, we internally become more and more like a detached observer of this body, of the whole physical world. And we become aware of the one who is experiencing everything. The inner being. The being of consciousness, the soul. And we try and grasp this subtle understanding of being a being of light, timeless, innately pure, peaceful, free, living, being of light. A master of my thoughts. I acknowledge that I have the power to choose what to think. I have the power to choose. And one can choose to operate from a spiritual perspective and not let life's circumstances overwhelm us. The real self is a timeless, free, peaceful soul. And as we go through the rest of the evening, we aim to hold these feelings and this more introverted state. cannot allow inner clutter. Om Shanti. Thank you. Just a few, before we go, few comments. Best wishes for the holiday season. And just make this wish, this resolution for yourself. No clutter. The Christmas program we will have on the 26th. Candlelight meditation. So give yourself the gift and give someone else maybe the gift too. Bring them. But next week there is still another Thursday evening session, and we will have a special guest. One of the teachers from the main center will come and do that lecture, Building Trust in Relationships. So, yeah, it is 19th, yes. Yeah, and then the next one is the Christmas celebration, and yeah, that was the main thing. There are new things coming for the new year, but we will announce that further on. Yeah. Too far. Focus on now. No clutter. Okay. Thank you. And for those who are here for the first time, there is everyone gets something sweet made with in a meditative state of consciousness. But also, if you don't receive our emails, you can on the desk leave your email so that you can receive the programs. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.